Well, that soundtrack of that great movie featured the two of them as well, Lady Gaga and then Bradley Cooper in A Star Is Born. Great movie it is. And the good thing about it is all of them perform the song themselves. So it makes it very authentic, very original as it is, not just miming or singing over people's songs in a peculiar situation as we have it usually for movies. But it's also going to set the tone for us to have a great conversation. And today we're looking at top 5 things that destroy relationships. And we do know that we've had a lot of strains on relationship these days because of coronavirus. But the way we tend to relate to each other would have a certain bearing on how we're able to navigate all the challenges that we tend to encounter. So that's why I decided to choose this topic. I'll be having joining us AMOS KEVIN-ANNAN, a great life coach, and he is already up and running. Well, how are you?
Very well, Roland. Good morning, Roland. How are you doing too?
Ade. Where you know?
You did like
yeah, you did tomorrow. Where they?
I'm in a ghetto.
Yeah, it did get to it. but you know, before we even set the tone and all, the last time I was just looking at some young kids in my community, and I thought, look, they really should be stressed psychologically. But it's also the same situation for many relationships, is that not it?
Oh, certainly. I mean, the situation that the COVID has brought us is that we are all experiencing one form of stress or the other. It depends on who and how severe it has been for the individual, and then the coping skills that they have to be able to manage the situation. As for stress, you need it. It's part of life. It actually helps you not to stay complacent. But in the extreme case, then it becomes something that requires clinical attention.
And
for our young people, you can see that globally, ever since the WHO announced that there should be plans and preparations towards the easing of restrictions, and then also ensuring that children can go back to school. Because not going back to school in itself is creating an untold hardship on the psychological well-being of children. And also remember, not all of them are having access to the online services for learning. And so some critical segment of our society would have been disadvantaged by means of they not being able to join on the online activities that the other colleagues who are most privileged in the big cities are enjoying. I mean, we know that the Ghana Education Service and Ministry of Education have this television sets in different places, which is a project that started many years ago. That is not sufficient still because a large constituency are yet to be giving those facilities. So let's hope that now that we are trying to ease the restrictions and getting back to our normalcy and learning how to live with the COVID experience will make us better people, not bitter individuals.
Yeah, I know. Before we get to the 5 things and broaden the discussion on the husband-wife or the spousal issues, let me ask one more thing. I need this for the children. How should we relate to them? Because sometimes, you know, sometimes they respond very unorthodoxly to some things they wouldn't have pre-COVID.
Well, I think what we all need to do as adults and as parents is to take notice. We should notice our children. I mean, if you know your child, you would see the differences that are existing or showing up in the life of your child. If they're becoming quiet and overly withdrawn and not engaging with the family folks, clearly you need to find some quiet moment, some private time to have a chat with that child. If you notice that they're becoming overly aggressive, it is also a trait that you also need to notice. And in noticing that, you can have still another conversation on the subject with the child so that they open up to you. Because stress levels, like I said, it differs from person to person. And somebody would be hit very hard even by mild stress. Others, it has to be an acute condition of stress, which is in a severe form before they can react negatively. So we need to also, additional to what I've said, as parents and adults, be patient. We easily get ruffled and angered by some of the things our young ones do. Let's show them patience. The virtue of patience has best been tested around this time. And we make time for them. We can take them on an outing. Now that we can go out, go to a park, an amusement facility, just sit there, relax, let them. My daughters, for instance, told me they were bored and they wanted to do photo-taking activity. So we had to drive to a brig, and this was an exciting moment for them. I had to be patient. Even though I didn't need it, they needed it. We had to stop there on our way back home at the Legon Botanical Gardens, where they had fun for themselves, taking more pictures, jumping stuff. It's something we as parents should learn to do. Exercise patience, make time for the young people. We've been young before. It is said that to wait, everybody has been a child before. It is just that aging is what we are all going to encounter with time. So let's be patient and let's walk with them.
Hey, the things that parents now are supposed to do. Well, we couldn't have encountered all these with our parents 30, 40 years ago. I know, right? But
Roland, you see, the thing was, your parents didn't have mobile phones. You have mobile phones.
Okay. All right.
So that should actually let us know that we are faced with a new dynamic situation. The privileges our parents didn't have, we have them. The disadvantages they had, we have them in severe form. So everything is changing. If you choose to stay same, once I heard Dr. Tabo say that if change comes and you don't recognize the change, it will change you against your will and you will be changing crying. So if you don't want to be changing crying, you better find a way to respond to the change. Not negative change, of course. I mean, positive change is what we're talking about.
Right. Now,
yes.
Straight away, I'll, as much as possible, get to overdrive. Mama Vioso Bwaje is also ready, so that...
Oh, is she there?
Yeah, she definitely is. So we'll look at the relationship things. 5 things that tend to destroy relationships, taking into cognizance the times we are in as well. We'll see how it goes. Mama V.
Yes, sir. I'm here. Good morning to you. It's been like forever.
Mama V.
Yeah. I have been staying away from you. They say we should social distance.
No, social distance does not mean social isolation. You have socially isolated from me, and you must repent.
I have. Okay, but straight away, I want us to jump into those 5 things. I mean, especially under this COVID situation, people can find excuses to do all sorts of things. So let's hit it straight away.
Well, thank you very much. I am so grateful for the opportunity you have granted me to be able to speak to these matters of grave concern. I, in the 90s, was working on a project in Kenya, so I frequently went to Kenya. And one of the areas I was taken to was the Masai Mara area, where it was a beautiful park for safari. And that safari, the guy who took me there said that you have to look out for 5 animals. If you do a safari and you get those 5, you can go home to sleep. And I said, really? He said, yeah. And thankfully, I saw the 5. The first one was a lion. The second was a leopard. The third was a rhinoceros. Both the central black one, they have the south central black and then the southern white species. You have to look out for any one of them. If you chance upon one of them, you're good to go. The 4th was the elephant, and the 5th was a Cape buffalo. Mama V and Roland, I found these animals very exciting at the Masai Mara Park in Kenya. Then somewhere in 2000, thereabouts, I also had the opportunity to go to South Africa for training. And as part of our training, we had a night trail at the Kruger National Park, which is said to be the largest national park in Africa. And there again, this guy who was taking us out said that we should look out for these 5. And there again, he mentioned the lion, the leopard, the rhino, the elephant, and the buffalo. I was very excited seeing them again. even though, and one of the things I also like is to go to the, they have the exotic restaurants. Kenya has the Mamba village where it's crocodiles, my first taste of crocodiles. And then I went to Misty Hills in South Africa. Also there, they served all these exotic animals. I mean, animals that many Ghanaians will run away from. I had to taste them. Now, I have seen in my work over the period, 3 decades of working with human beings, that 5 critical things are hurting relationships around this time. Be it prenuptial, consideration, or in consummated union, which we call marriage. The first one is deceit. I call these 5 I'm going to mention the 5 deadly Ds. If anybody building a relationship allows these 5 to come their way, it will destroy it. The first one is deceit. What is deceit? It is the act or practice of deceiving, concealment, or distortion of the truth for the purpose of misleading, duplicity, fraud, or cheating. Let me unpack it. You see, there are people in relationships who are using screensavers. We know screensavers. A lot of individuals find people on social media and they're excited and fascinated about their looks. But when they meet them in reality, they are not what they had been packaged to look like. So there's a general statement that says, buyer beware. There is a lot of misleading and concealment in relationships today. People suddenly discover that my spouse has children and they had concealed that from me. Some have a certain personality I vouch for, I could give all. Some can say I will put my hands in fire for you and all that. And yet the individuals can mislead you. Then there's the duplicity where the individual is double-faced. It's part of deceit. Then there's fraud, which is actually defrauding of people, robbing them of what is due them. In many relationships today, folks are defrauding each other. They've learned the art and the skill of cheating, what we have famously described as escapades. Now, cheating is part of deceit. Now, the second D, because I want to engage you, is discord. Discord. Now, discord is the presence of strife, conflict, contention, dissension of different forms that impacts our relationship. Now, that discord can be internal or between 2 people. So we have what we call intrapersonal discord, discord that is within an individual. Then we have interpersonal, in between persons. So wherever there's strife, there is contention, there is conflict, there is dissension, you create discord. And this discord is the opposite of harmony. If you want 2 words that work together in relationships, we have tranquility and we have turbulence. Now, these things are creating quarrelsome and factionism amongst people and antagonism. The slightest thing provokes an individual. So discord is the second D. The third D is what I call discontentment. Discontentment. People are plainly dissatisfied with what they have, and they have a certain illusion of a certain perfect greener grass on the other side. And that discontentment may come in the area of conversation, may come in the area of coupling, may come in the area of respect, may come in the area of affection, and the likes. Discontentment. But you see, contentment is a very, very important thing because it creates serenity in a relationship. There's a marked difference between complacency and contentment. People confuse the two. But discontentment, dissatisfaction in relationships is hurting many. And it's creating grievances that are avoidable. The fourth D is distraction. Distraction. Distraction simply is described as being drawn away from or directed away from something that you're committed to. Now, you are distracted by driving and looking at your phone. When somebody whispers or calls you and you're supposed to focus on a ball which is thrown at you, they distract you. If people want to ensure that they make a fool out of you, they also distract you, only to tell you there's a prank. There are too many relationships that are being distracted. And they are being distracted in two areas: affection and attention. Affection and attention. You have someone you love, but another individual is beginning to take your attention off them. And they take your attention from them, and along that comes your affection as well. So before long, you realize that the attention and affection due this person you claim to love is no longer there. And we have had a conversation, Mama V, yourself, and I, on whether love has died or is dead or is buried. And I mentioned to you that love never dies, because love has 4 very, very critical character traits that everybody must know. Love is robust, it's resilient, it is reassuring, and it has a rebound capacity. So love doesn't really die. We actually have to numb it. We have to smudge it under something. And so distraction is the 4th D. The 5th D, which is the last one, is dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction. I'm sitting with a lot of spouses, and I tell you, Mama V, I mean, the level of dissatisfaction is deep, because where there is dissatisfaction, one cannot show affection. They struggle to show affection, if at all. And that the concept of dissatisfaction is alienation from affection or loyalty. And that creates discontentment in a person, you know, and sometimes unrest. So these are what I classify as the 5 deadly Ds everyone in a relationship must look at: deceit, discord, discontentment, distraction, and disaffection. Thank you for your time. Now I can engage you.
If you identify yourself with any of the 5 Ds, what must you do?
Well, when there is, for instance, deceit, the person must own up to admitting they deceived you. That means we must have a conversation. In all these Ds, the starting point is conversation. Am I
waiting to be discovered to have a conversation? Or
Not
just because
so.
we're discussing this right now, if I identify that that is really my issue, then I can open up a conversation?
Exactly. The conversation can be 2-dimensional. It could start from the one who is deceiving, and it could be from the one who has discovered that they have been deceived. If I am in a state of discord, it means that there's something not gelling, something is not right. There's the creation of disharmony between us. Can we have a conversation on why there's disharmony all of a sudden? Because that can happen to even good relationships. Because human beings have their down times and they have their uphill moments. You know, when the person is top of the hill, harmony is easy to engender. But when you are down, it's easy to create discomfort, disharmony, and discord, because already you are processing stuff. So for instance, the gentleman who has lost his job, he's been retrenched, or the lady or gentleman who is on half salary, or some are hanging in there, not too sure. They've been told it's either we retrench you or you stay in and see if we can give you no fuel. You know, that no fuel which is coming can create discord in the person themselves. So the people are actually fighting themselves. They are doing things they don't like. And the things they really wish to do, they are unable to do. So it creates this discord in them. And there's a need for them to find a way to divulge that. You know, to find someone who can provide you care, support, and encouragement so that you win that battle. Because if you don't do, it will then create the discord between you and other people, which is very common.
And
I'm sure you may have met people who you ask yourself, but who is he fighting? What is he fighting about? There's really no point in this acrimonious condition you are creating.
But do such people even know what is happening to them? Are they even aware?
Some do, others don't. So the one who doesn't know is easy to help. The one who doesn't know is easy to help through a mirror back. So you give them a feedback on, oh, I have noticed these changes in you. Is there anything happening, for instance? I just want to know, to see what help I can offer you, what support I can offer you, or how I need to also change to respond to your new normal. Because the new normal can be very absurd, can be very abnormal, can be weird to an individual. And sometimes it's not even what they see, it's just the perception. And in our part of the world where perception tends to outweigh reality, one needs to be cautious, you know. And people try to also become mind readers. They are reading your mind, they are reading your mood, but we are not naturally designed to read people's mind. Neither are we naturally inclined to reading people's moods. They have to actually verbalize or affirm. One of my friends, Letitia Ohinefa, she always say, validate your assumptions.
So, you know, I'm thinking that dissatisfaction could be felt by one party and not the other. If it is one person who is feeling dissatisfied, how does the other person appreciate what the other person is saying?
Yeah, I mean, there's a concept known as empathy. Empathy is put yourself in the shoes of the other party. If I say that I am dissatisfied about the matter, you've got to show respect and candor by hearing me first. You don't hear to answer, you hear to understand. Put yourself in my situation. Assuming you were me, Amos, and I'm telling you I'm dissatisfied with something, what do you have to do? You need to ask me, in which ways would I be satisfied? And there are many, many, many ways. For instance, if you look at the love concepts, one person may be dissatisfied with the receiving of gifts, because it's not everybody who is given to receiving gifts. Sometimes we falsely think that everybody wants a gift. No, 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 no. And even those who want gifts, some want a very big gift. Others want just something to represent something, what they call a token. And so you also have to be mindful of the fact that they are the ones who are giving you that feedback. He who wears it knows how tight it is, you know? So you have to hear them. And they too must be reasonable to understand that not everybody can please you, you know, at all times, let me add. They may please you today, tomorrow, they may displease you. So if you are in that state where you are hoping that it's going to stay as it was, so shall it be and evermore, life without end, then you'll be disappointed, because that individual who is also supposed to connect with you and make sure that you are at peace with yourself may also be having their own turbulence of some sort. And that would then create all the discontentment that we have.
Yeah. There's some level of distractions, and you alluded to a number of them as well. But we also do know that distractions are there because there are a lot of either factors or variables within the environment in which relationships find themselves.
Yeah.
What could be some of those factors that cause the distraction?
Well, for instance, a couple who are not finding time for themselves can be distracted when another begins to make you have the space where they are having time for you. In a relationship where one is invalidated, i.e., they are not regarded as essential, and therefore they can easily be replaced, one party can find a replacement for the other party, even though they are just in there to just keep their status. Also, when individuals become mischievous, they create their own distraction. You know, the economists have what they call creative distraction, or disruption, or destruction. Now, these things come, and it creates a meltdown for everybody. Then new businesses emerge. Even like this corona, you notice how even though with all the losses and everything, we have learned lessons how to do certain things again. We grew up in our primary school days, we had Veronica buckets in front of every classroom. That thing disappeared over time, and nobody actually took notice of that. Today, Veronica everywhere, Veronica buckets in front of even offices. Can you imagine? Now, there's the need for us all to identify what is distracting me from staying focused. Now, once you are able to put your thumb on that and you can describe it, you could then look at how is this distraction impacting my relationship. Now, when you gauge the impact, the severity of the impact, then you ask yourself, do I have the wherewithal, the set skills, or the tools to be able to deal with the distraction? Sometimes we actually fan into flame the distractions. For instance, you're sitting with your significant one in a restaurant and you are being distracted by your phone. So your mobile phone now becomes a distraction to whoever is with you. And it is one of the commonest distractions we have. That's why the technologies brought one terminology a few years ago. They call it fabbing. Fabbing is P-H-U-B-B-I-N-G. And it is the state where an individual is disconnected from you, who is present, and they are connecting with somebody who is very far off. And you see them giggling and laughing, and you're like, what's happening here? We are here, and we are not talking, and yet you are smiling and giggling all over. It infuriates. It gets you very, very edgy and nervous. You know, and sometimes to the person is hooked onto the phone, and you are talking to them, they can't give you eye contact. You are distracted. They say, okay, you keep talking, I'm listening. I mean, you've got to also listen with your eyes, because there are some things you can pick with your eyes which your ears cannot pick. You know, so the distractions are in that form. If you find out that you don't have what it takes to deal with the distraction, then you can seek for external support, which could come from the person you are in a relationship with, who will keep you accountable anytime you are being distracted. You tell them, remind me anytime I'm being disrupted by an individual or any entity. So that distraction, then you become accountable partners in this endeavor. If it is also beyond that person's competence, then that's where you look for a clinical psychologist, a counselor, maybe a priest who can also help you to understand what you're going through, because sometimes it's beyond our own capacity to deal with. And the person who is also in a relationship with us may be ill-prepared or inadequately positioned to be able to respond. Or sometimes they feel that, I don't want to be the one to help you with this. You know, when they have that posture, you better seek for a support that will not become injurious. Because sometimes you go and find a third-party support, and that becomes a fatal injury because they come in and they exploit. Those are the people I call scavengers. So if the significant one in your life is not talking to you, then I become a supplanted version of it. I provide you the conversation. Let's be chatting. Chat you up. You know, anytime you are sad, you talk to me. That's dangerous. That's dangerous. It may start off very well, but sustaining it without it becoming romantic is a very, very, very difficult one.
So you don't start at all?
When it's, yeah, I mean, slippages occur when you don't even realize you're slipping. You know, and the greatest form of danger is not noticing that there is danger.
Let's invite our viewers to join us if you've got questions or comments. If you identify yourself in any of these deadly Ds that you need some support, kindly give us a call, 030221169102. The numbers are on your screens. Give us a call now. AMOS KEVIN-ANNAN is helping us with those 5 things that hurt our relationships, and particularly around this COVID-19 times, when, you know, it's easy to come up with all sorts of excuses and get away with things, but they may come back to haunt you big time. You might need some sort of support. Give us a call now, Roland.
Yeah, definitely. And please, the lines are on your screens now. You can also give us more messages through our social media platforms. We're Facebook, JoyNews on TV. We also do have our Twitter handle at JoyNews on TV. And of course, we're streaming through YouTube, and you can bring in your comment. But the phone lines are open. Let's see how it goes. Now, in trying to mend ways, okay, we already do have Cecilia from Sola. Cecilia, good morning to you.
Good morning. Please, I want to find out, in situations where you are with somebody who doesn't involve you in any discussions, he does his own thing, only comes to you when perhaps you need to financially support the person. What do you do?
All right. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, we'll give it attention, Cecilia.
Okay, thank you.
Let's go to Takrady, and Arimiao is there. Arimiao?
Hello, good morning.
Morning. Morning.
From Takrady.
You're calling from Takrady, yes. Yes, please, go ahead. Any question you want to, or some...
not a question that really. Sometimes, naturally, you are in love. For me, for instance, in this situation that I'm explaining, I fell in love very well. I'm married now with my wife, and then we have kids. But it's kind of like my love for her is fading. Feeling for her is fading. I don't know why. Not because of womanizing, and not that she's causing something, doing something bad to me. But naturally, I see this going. I feel this like I'm not happy. I don't feel like getting close to her more times, and I just feel like keeping along in town before I come, then she's late, then I also sneak, go lie down, sleep. Not because I'm womanizing or any bad thing. I'm facing this stuff. I don't know what is really happening. I'm trying to build it up, trying so many times, and we've got kids, we've got 4 kids. Got 4 kids. I'm facing this problem. Really serious.
Some fire needs to be...
Have you figured something out? I mean, have you figured in terms of, is there something that maybe she's doing, or something that you're doing?
No.
Okay.
No, she's doing nothing.
But how do you know that it is fading, though? Maybe that can also help.
Of course, I went in for her. I knew how it was. You understand? I went in for it. So I know how it was, and now and then before. Yeah. So if anything, if there's a slight change, I will know.
Okay. All right. Thankfully, AMOS KEVIN-ANNAN is good at this. So over to you.
All right, Mama V, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Arimiao and then Cecilia, for your questions. I'll start off with Mr. Arimiao's thing of, naturally, he says that the love is fading. We should remember that we go through, as human beings, changing scenes of this life. Now, those changing scenes of life introduces us to new levels of experiences. And one of my lecturers once said that every new level introduces a new devil. Now, it may happen that at the point that they are at now as a couple, there's a need to refresh the page of the union. Just like when your browser gets stale and is static and you can't have anything done, you refresh the pages, so must you find ways of refreshing. There are basically 3 things I want to recommend. First, he should cast his mind back to what gave them the spark and the spice before this one. Secondly, are there any complaints that are existing right now which is creating this supposed fading of the love? And finally, what new things can he and his wife introduce into the union that will sustain the spark and the spice? Anything beyond this would be personal conversation we can have.
Okay.
Now, for Cecilia, an individual who comes to you only when they need financial assistance is clearly potentially an exploiter. You must first be valued before you are numbered. Now, you are not just an addition to their life. If you are that significant to them, you as a person should come to them as a person of essence. So they must value you, not just what you have. Because if they do that, then it will be exploitative. And that is where you become worried about what is happening. Because if you're not going to involve me in what you're doing, and just when you are at a point where you are in a critical need for help, that's when you come to me. Then you're just using me to achieve your own ends. And that is selfishness. We all have a certain trait of selfishness in us, but selfishness must give way to selflessness so that we can have a very serene and smooth relationship going forward.
Is that a narrative that you can change? But before you answer that, let's speak to Moses. Moses, apologies, you've been holding for a while. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Let's hear you. Hello, Moses.
Well, it looks like we're having difficulty. Let's go to Nadoli. Michael is there.
Okay.
Yeah. In a situation where you have a girlfriend or maybe a partner, then the partner tends to introduce a third party into the relationship, and everything that happens is being told to that third party. What do you do? Like, how do you stop that third party or your partner from communicating with the third party?
All right, okay. Well, I mean, dealing with third parties is always a major issue. We have to look at how close are they to the person? Are they familial persons, i.e. family people, or they are just friends or colleagues or acquaintances or individuals they may have found solace in them, or complete strangers? So you've got to make a determination of the kind of third party. Secondly, you have to now raise the issue of third-party concerns that you have with them, but do so respectfully and politely. Sometimes we do it harshly. It's almost like an attack on the person. And the first natural cause of an individual is self-defense. So if you're attacking them, they will defend themselves. But if you find some reasonable conversation to have with them, they will then give you why this person appears to be important to them. And if someone is important to another, please do not make them feel less. Because, see, because of the attachment they have to those individuals, any treatment or mistreatment of those people that they consider unacceptable will be hitting them indirectly as well. And you would see the rebuttal and the response that they will give to you. So, again, conversations must be had. And then the issues raised in an adult way. We hold our emotions when we raise these things, and then make sure that we focus on the solution, not on accusation.
Okay.
Many times people will look at who is wrong, not what is wrong.
Let's speak to Ken, and then we'll take some quick calls before we come to the address and the follow-up question I asked from Cecilia. But let's talk to Ken. Ken is in Achimota. Good morning, Ken.
Yeah, good morning, Mama V.
Yes,
How
Ken.
you doing?
Oh, very well, thank you. Thanks for asking. Let's hear you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Governor, for a very good submission. Being a lecturer at Medical University, I really love it. And now my
Thank you,
question now,
Ken.
I'm a guy of 29 years of age. I'm into a relationship, and anytime we have problems, the lady drag the issue so far, sometimes maybe to a month or maybe 2 months before we are able to settle that. So I want Government to help me out. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ken. Roland, we have somebody else on the line?
Yeah, we have Mahama Husseini from Wale Wale. Good morning to you, Mahama.
Good morning, sir.
Please, your question or any contribution you want to make.
Yes.
AMOS KEVIN-ANNAN is
my question is about deceit.
Deceit?
I have deceit. Yeah, deceit. I have a family member. Anytime I saw there's conversation between us, the person will deceive me. So instead of taking a good action, you rely on what she told you are being informed, and it wouldn't help you. And it is several times. So I want to find out from the professional, how am I going to handle this?
Okay, let's go to Kumasi. Kumasi, we have King Solomon. King Solomon.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, have a contribution.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm into relations more than a decade now.
Yeah, you've been in a relationship for 10 years.
More than 10 years.
If you say relation, you mean marital or
marital relations? Marital more than 10 years.
Okay, right.
Now, the fact is that I have supported her financially, morally, physically to put up a building. Now, whenever there is misunderstanding, she goes public to tell the general public that she owns the house and that the house belongs to her. So in such a relationship, what can I do? Can I continue? Because she has ridiculed me before the general public, telling the whole world how useless I am because I'm not able to build. But I've supported her financially, physically, and morally to put out that bill. So in this case, Mr. Counselor, what can I do?
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Uncle AMOS.
Mama?
This one there is just, it's only you, so.
King Solomon, it's a very difficult one to have an unappreciative individual in your life. You know, we must all understand that there are some individuals whose level of appreciation for gestures than them tends to be very low or absent. Now, must you continue to do good? Yes, you must continue to do good. Now, there may be other things that are serving as undercurrents to this unappreciative spouse behavior. So there will be the need for King Solomon to take his time and ask himself a few questions. One, has she always been like this? Two, has there ever been an issue where the person was also not shown appreciation and decided that if you don't appreciate what I also do, especially many women don't feel that way. She goes through delivery and all that, very difficult. Some are carrying pain in their spinal area from anesthesia that they got and different injections there. And the spouse feels that, oh, well, it's your duty, it's your responsibility, it's your job. You should have gone through that because who else will carry the baby if you are not a woman? You know, when you talk like that, clearly the person will feel very sad and they will take it high. You know, it is said that if you give a woman lemon, she'll give you lemonade. If you give her egg, she'll give you an omelette. But if you give her fire, she'll give you fire. So be very careful what you're giving to her. And I'll put out my number later. King Solomon can contact me and then we'll see how practical we can help him. Now, Mahama has been having deceitful family member. Deceitful individuals would always be around. And especially in this age of betrayal. You know, people betray brothers, sisters, relatives. So first and foremost, anytime you're having a conversation with anybody, have the assumption that they are recording you. You should have, I mean, that's how I operate. And I believe that it will save you a lot of shocks. Some individuals, they assume that the person is incapable of recording them. And yet, when the voices are played, they begin to clutch onto straws. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that once they have deceived you more than once or twice, then you also need to find out what else you cannot share with them. Because, see, you cannot take certain advices from individuals who have a track record or a history of being unrepentant deceivers. You know, and so you have that responsibility to yourself and to that individual. Sometimes they don't know they are deceiving you. Other times, they are just playing pranks and thinking it's fun. Because people take many things as light-hearted. And just check to be sure it's not one fun activity. Then you can draw some conclusions. There's
also, Ken, the introduction of third parties in their relationship anytime there's an issue.
Yes, Ken. That's from Ken, right?
Yes.
He's 29. Yes. Thank you. I take your compliments in good faith, and I'm thankful that we had the opportunity to interact at the university. Now, third parties, when they come into a relationship, they can be helpful, but they can also be a nightmare. Now, you have been in it for a period of time. You need to begin to ask yourself, are we having a roadmap? What roadmap? Because a lot of women, when you put them in a state of anxiety and uncertainty, they can create some disturbance for you. Put them in a state of quietness, a state of assurance, so they know we are moving from point A to point B, from point B to point C. So, Ken, have that roadmap. Secondly, have a chat with this person and let them know what your concerns are without you accusing them. Oftentimes, we love to accuse. Our natural default is accusation. We get into tirades and throw salvos around and use words that later we can't take back. So there's a need for you to have that conversation that is respectful. Don't go and be throwing tantrums and tirades at them. Michael was talking about, Michael was talking about third parties, actually. Ken has relationship problems generally. Ken, relationship problems, it takes two to tango. Maybe you have contributed to some of the problems. Maybe you have not. First, examine yourself. The man in the mirror. Look at your face in the mirror and ask yourself, what am I doing wrong? Or what have I been told I'm doing wrong? And with humility, please, understand that you are not be it or know it or have it all. You have weaknesses, you have strengths. Admit where you have erred, and then also respectfully and courteously bring the wrongs of the other party to their attention. If you start with yours and you share theirs, you will notice that they will not be hostile. But where you come as Mr. Perfect, Mr. Have it airtight, intact, prim proper, groomed, and manufactured well, and they are the damaged product, worst character, you know, when you do that, the individual will fight off. Nobody wants to be disparaged or dragged in the mud.
Okay. Okay, so Akhleb, just before we wrap up on this, there was a follow-up on Cecilia's issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
You said if the person was not going to change, is that what he thought about?
Yes. Can you change the narrative?
Well, the narrative as in the person exploiting you. No, exploitation is exploitation. I mean, because they come to you only when they need your help. The other thing also is this, that they don't find you as any person of value. You're only valuable and asset to them when they have need. You are not just there to meet those needs.
So should you just simply walk away? Okay, you have a conversation.
You have a conversation.
Okay.
I mean, before you walk away, you don't just walk away on an emotional tantrum or, trip. Because emotions change over time. That's why you cannot make a life-changing decision when you are happy, when you are sad, when you are successful, when you have been defeated. You've got to be sober, reflective, find a quiet place to go into solitude and do a soul search of yourself and ask yourself, is this the best life I'm living? Is this the way I want people to treat me? Don't be hostile. Don't be antagonistic. Choose your words very carefully and let them know that you can't take it anymore.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for sharing these deadly deeds with us.
Great time with you. Yeah.
And we've missed you, really.
You have to come to the retreat this year, Mama V.
What is the new dates?
The new date is the 18th to the 20th of September.
Wow.
Okay. So that's just this month.
At the Volta, no, it's in person at Volta Serene Hotel.
Hey. Oh, that would be fantastic, because I think the last time I went to Ho, the hotel was not opened. So
it's classy.
Yeah. Amazing place.
And this year we are focusing on the 3 C's.
Wow.
Which one is the 3 C's?
Coupling, conversations, and consummation.
Ooh.
Please again.
Coupling, conversations, and consummation.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Those are the 3 C's we are focusing on this year. So it's about how you are marrying. Secondly, how conversations can be improved. And thirdly, consummation, which is, what I'm talking about. Yeah, we call it bedroom protocols.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So let's just...
I need to be there.
Please leave your number so that those who wanted to have personal conversations can call you.
Well, the number to reach me on is 0244 273368. And everybody is invited to the retreat. If you want to also participate, just request for the link and I'll send it to you for registration. So those in Ho, we have a special package. This year marks the 20th marriage anniversary of Evelyn and I.
Oh.
And for that reason, for the first time in a conclave, we are allowing day participants.
Okay.
And so if you want to be a day participant and you live in Ho, you're welcome. And you only pay 500 Ghana cedis.
Okay. All right.
But
great.
If you want to have the full package, the flyer is out there. It's 3,000 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
To do the full package.
So we'll put the number on the screen. You can capture it right now. You can also WhatsApp him as well if you've got follow-up questions. Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you, Mama V. Thank you, Roland. I wish you all the best in the weekend.
Okay.
Roland.
Yes, sir.
Avoid the 5 Ds. Mama V, avoid the 5 Ds.
Fantastic.
Yes, sir.
Let's be good ambassadors.
Fantastic. Coupling, consummation.
Hey. That one is
ahead. That's ahead.
That one is at the retreat.
By the grace of God, we will do well with the deadly Ds.
Yes,
thank you.
Definitely, when we practice the 3 Cs, we'll cure the 5 Ds.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Bye.
That's our Relationship Friday, and we hope that we've been helpful. Really, some of these talks, Charlie. Sometimes you're suffering alone. You're going through these things alone, and you need to hear somebody talk to you. So we hope that we've been a blessing, really, and Uncle AMOS KEVIN-ANNAN has been a blessing to you as well. Stay with us. You're watching the AM Show.